Let's do football for once. Give it a minute. I don't think anybody will come. They'll have a look anyway. Hopefully, people will uh, be able to look at this afterwards. I'm not always very good on saving it afterwards. I tend to try and have to edit it in studio and then save it so that it saves it. I've just closed it occasionally and said, no, I don't want to edit it, and it clears it off the system. So we'll try and keep it on. What we're going to do is it's one of those weekends, isn't it, where we have no championship football and it's really boring. And in fact, I think even League One, most of those games are. I'm going mad. My nose is itching. Even the League One games have seemed to have been mostly postponed. So there's very little football for us to watch this weekend. So I thought I'd come on and have a quick look at next week. And let's see what it's going to bring to our teams. I have had a quick look. And if anybody does come on, I'm well open for a quick chat. Really am. I'm John. I'm actually from the south coast of England. I'm actually a Rotherham fan. Yeah, I still stayed as a Rotherham fan, even after moving several hundred miles. And I'm thinking, oh, why? But I always say you support, first of all, the town where you were born. There's no, I never really see the point in. It's like when you go to someone and you think, oh, who do you support? And they say, oh, Liverpool. And you think, hang on a minute. We're in Devon or Cornwall. You think, how on earth do you live in Devon and Cornwall and support Liverpool? Ah, well, they're a really good side. You know, have you ever been to see them? No. I hope to though one day. And you think, yeah, right. So you're a true Liverpool fan, yeah. And it doesn't only work with the Premiership teams. You know, I see people supporting local teams that have been big or were big at one point in time, and it annoys me. Like, so you went to that team because they were playing well and they were doing well in the league, and they've stayed with them. I'll give them that, and they are a local-ish team to them. But their local team's never been that good, and it's sort of third, fourth, fifth tier, and you're thinking, no, you should really be. It's sort of like it is your local team. It's like going to the local shop because you want to support local business, and I think we all should be supporting our local team, even if it's just by saying, yeah, I keep an eye on them and I like to see that they're doing well. But too many times I see people from a particular town being quite almost nasty to the local team, and you think, no, you can't, you shouldn't be like that. At the end of the day, that whether you like it or not, you were born into that town or that village or that city. You should be you should have an affiliation with them at least, because I can see the arguments not to. Believe me, I just think that, first of all, if you're going to, when you first went to a football match and thought, oh, which one shall I go to? Or you were pulled along by your dad, you should be thinking, okay, I've seen this game. Who's my local side, though? Okay, the reason why I don't want to watch them is ABC. Now, I have no problem if that's the case. I have no problem if you've actually thought it out. But I think most people don't think it out. They just go straight to the local team that's doing really well, and they don't even give a chance to their local team. And because there are lots of places where you've got a big team literally miles away, it makes it very difficult for those teams with plenty of people around them, but very few supporters because they all go to the local one that's doing really well. And because they have got fewer supporters, they don't develop their stands, they don't develop their team, they don't get a good manager because they're in fourth, fifth, sixth tier. And you're sort of helping that team not to improve because you've gone to the local best team. So I would always say try and support your local team. I've got a phone in my hand, so we're going to go down the list, and I'm going to start with Friday, and I'm going to quickly move out of it because I'm a Rotherham fan. I'm going to be totally biased. I always say, I'm going to be unbiased. I'm going to try and look at this in a totally unbiased way, and you know, as a fan, whoever you support, if somebody comes up to you and asks you what the score's going to be at the game, sorry, I got a bit of a cough today. You're going to answer in a quite unbiased manner, aren't you? Not right. So it's Rotherham Leeds. Rotherham are actually playing really well at home. Away, they haven't won for like 13 months, I think it is, which is why they got rid of their manager last weekend after the 5-0 drubbing away to Watford. Play really well at home. Excellent at home. We drew recently 2-2 with Ipswich. We drew with Leicester. And we've been playing extremely well. Can't say that away from home, but we're at home. Leeds United. We've drawn against Leicester and we've drawn against Ipswich. Won against Norwich. I just think that we would win against Coventry as well, I think. But we've been doing so well at home. I can't see us not getting anything from this. I really can't. I really can't see us not getting anything from it. Leeds will be coming with total confidence. And the teams we tend to do well against are the ones that come confident that they're going to thrash us. I think Leeds are going to come thinking we can play football, we'll get totally thrash them. If they come thinking they're going to play football, Rotherham have a great way of stopping you playing football, and you're out of your depth, and we take something from it, even if it's a draw. So, not wanting to say win, lose, or draw by a certain figure, I'm just going to say I think we're going to get something from it. I really do. And quickly move on. If anybody wants to join in, if anybody comes and wants a quick chat, I'm well open for a quick chat on Championship. Go past the Premiership. Birmingham versus Sheffield Wednesday. Game 1. Birmingham versus Sheffield Wednesday. I actually didn't look at the stats, but look at Birmingham's results. If you go backwards in time, starting with the recent 3-1 defeat away to Sunderland, it's a lose, draw, lose, lose, lose. And the last game of the previous manager, which was a win. Oh dear. Rooney, lose, 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 draw, lose. Not very good. They seem to be able to score, but not enough. And the defense seems to be pretty In fact, almost like Rotherham's defence, really. I mean, I dare to say it, but bloody hell, it's quite similar to Rotherham's, isn't it? Sheffield Wednesday surprisingly lost 4-0 against Millwall at home. They're usually bloody good in defence. They really are. I mean, in the last 6 games, there's only been Plymouth away where they've let in 3. But that's Plymouth. They're at home. Plymouth are actually really good, and they're free scoring. So there's a point to say that Wednesday are usually very good in defence. They don't usually have a poor defence 2 games in a row. That's one thing to say. When their defence has really played shocking, it tends to get changed really quickly and put right immediately. So that even if they do lose, they don't lose by 0, 0, 0. And then in the last 3, obviously they won against Rotherham, 2, 0, 0. I don't know, so they only scored in 1 game. That happens to be against Rotherham, doesn't it? I just look at the I just keep looking at the Birmingham scores. See, the Birmingham side of things is interesting because the Birmingham keep losing. When they drew, it was 2-2. But when they lose, they usually score. I mean, they didn't against Hull or Borough, but Sunderland 3-1, Southampton 3-1. Now, Southampton, they managed to score against Southampton, but Rotherham did as well, so, never mind. Home 2-2. Yeah, I just can't stop thinking that Birmingham will score. I mean, both teams have scored in their last 3 games. And they've been 4 goals in all 3 games as well. I just think that Birmingham will see. I was thinking Wednesday might come out with a win, but the more I look at it, the more I think Birmingham have actually scored. Yeah, it's been 4 goals in the last 3 in each of the last 3 games, and I think that Birmingham's issue is that defence. Birmingham can score. They can absolutely score. He's got them scoring. However, sorry, just that. However, their defence has been pretty shocking. And I just can't help thinking that that Wednesday would have to be able to score, which they've only managed against Rotherham in the last few games. I'm going to reduce that. I'm going to say a draw. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I think that both teams will score again for the 4th game in a row. But I think that I just can't see Birmingham not letting one in, even though it's Wednesday. And I think Wednesday will score. They are getting better. They are getting tighter at the back. So with Wednesday getting tighter at the back, and the fact they're playing Birmingham, I would say that I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going for a draw there. And now we go to Bristol City versus Middlesbrough, which is quite interesting because obviously it's 10th versus 11th. Borough on 24th in 10th, and Bristol City in 11th with 22. You can tell that I'm looking at the stats, can't you? Now, looking at the last few games, taking away Borough's Carabao win against Exeter, out of it. Middlesbrough lose, draw, win. Now, Middlesbrough won the team that won Leicester last weekend. Very, very good, tight game. I thought that Leicester were the better team, but Middlesbrough certainly managed to stop that. I think Leicester are playing not brilliant football, to be honest. 1-0 win, yeah, and at home. So yeah, I think that was a good result for them. And coming on a 3-3 away draw to Plymouth, and Plymouth are free scoring at home. I think that Borough probably got caught out thinking that it was going to be an easy game and go anywhere in the Championship, anywhere, thinking it's going to be easy. And I think you get killed like Norwich did at Rotherham. Go there thinking you're going to win. Please. Coventry did. Yeah, go there. You'll lose. And I think Middlesbrough here are going to be going to Bristol City thinking, yeah, they're up there, but yeah, look who they've played. QPR in the last 3 games have been QPR, Sheffield Wednesday, and Cardiff, and they couldn't even win Cardiff. I think Borough will be almost a little bit blasé on this one because they know they've got a better team. They know that Bristol City can be good one week, bad the next. I mean, you only have to look at the last 4 games for Bristol City. They lost 1-0 at home to Ipswich, which actually is a good score because they're playing really well. Well, they're not playing really well, but they're up there at the top. They lost away 2-0 to Cardiff. Yeah, I would have expected them to have won that one, or at least drawn it. 2-0 was a surprise. They only managed 1-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday, which was a really big shock. And I thought they might have done better than that. QPR away 0-0. They should be beating QPR by at least 1. At least 1 or 2. So I think that Middlesbrough will be going into this a little bit more confident than Bristol City. Bristol City will be thinking, we've actually done reasonably well with points, considering how they've not been getting the results they should be. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. They've got 1, 4, 7 points in 6 games for Bristol City. 13 points for Borough. So I just can't look past Borough. Really can't look past Borough as long. I think there's 2 cases here. It'll either be a draw where Borough just go thinking that they're going to slaughter them, and they're going to look at these last 6 games and think, yeah, the only points they've got are against teams that they should have slaughtered, and they didn't. So I think they'll either come really blasé, like they did against Rotherham, and they should have lost, but the referee apologised afterwards for sending off one of our players. And I think you'll find if they do that, it'll be a draw. Or if they go thinking, all games are tough here and they're right below us, then I think they'll manage a win, possibly a comfortable win. I'll go with a comfortable win for Borough, but for Bristol fans, hey, if Middlesbrough come thinking that they're going to shoot you down and that you're going to play garbage, so be it, because that's where you'll get the points. So that's an interesting one. That is an interesting game. Now, I'm going to Huddersfield versus Southampton. This is an interesting one because you really do have to go 6 games back for Southampton. I went to the Southampton-Rotherham game, and I actually thought that Rotherham played the better football in the second half. Gave the ball away and just sat and pushed up to midfield. They pressed quite high for once and managed to confuse the Southampton defence, which is actually quite poor. And because they were pushing the defence, the midfield came back to support them, which meant that the Southampton had the ball, but it was constantly in their own half, which was a bit odd for Rotherham fans away from home to see Rotherham actually on the front foot, even though we were losing from the second minute, which I missed because I wasn't in the ground yet. So we go in and we watch this game, and in the second half, it was actually really good. Rotherham really high pressed and got the draw from it, and they deserved it. They really did deserve it. And then they won against Hull 2-1 away, but again, that was luck. I think that was a late goal as well, wasn't it? And then they drew against Preston, and I think that was I thought, was that a late goal? Let's have a look. I don't know, 52. Hang on. Yeah, 90 plus 6 minutes own goal, for heaven's sake. So they're actually losing until 90 plus 6 minutes, and they went and drew with an own goal. I'm sure the Hull one was as well, was it? Yeah, 90 plus 5 for Hull, 90 plus 6. 90 plus 5 to win against Hull, 90 plus 5 to win again, to draw against Preston. Birmingham 3-1. But they're playing Rooney. Rooney's not got up to speed with the team yet. So, yeah, that was probably one of the easier ones that they were going to have. They play Millwall again. 90 plus 3. Come on. So they gained what? They gained 2, 3, a win here, 4, 5, 6 points they've gained in extra time from 3 games. 6 points. There you go, West Brom. And actually, they managed to win this in reasonable time. Bartley scored on 65 to equalise for West Brom, but I think by then Southampton knew they had to do something, and they were at home, and the fans were probably getting on their back at the point, especially when they equalised. When Rotherham equalised in the 60-odd minute, the Southampton fans just got up and walked out, and the whole section next to the Rotherham fans just emptied in minutes, and there was another sort of 20 minutes to go of the game yet. So let's face it, Southampton are not as good as their results are showing. And after seeing them play in person against Rotherham at St Mary's, that team is not good enough to go up. That team is bang average. In fact, no, I'll be honest. I think it's bang average for the mid-championship. I really do. I don't see. It's only because the middle of the championship is so level that you get Southampton at the top, because 3 points can make such it can put you in the playoffs, and it can put you 3 points from relegation. So it's literally that stupid. It's like 8th to 3 points from between 3 or 5 points between 8th and 16th. It's like something stupid. But on the other hand, Huddersfield, a 0-0 against Wednesday, I mean, that it was asking for it, wasn't it? They weren't scoring at that point, and they weren't letting him in, and Wednesday weren't scoring, and they weren't letting him in, so it was a 0-0. Poor draw. They win against QPR. That is a strange one, but they got 2 quick goals. And actually, I've seen Huddersfield do that a few times, get 2 quick goals. When they get one, they do tend to press really hard and try and keep you on the back foot and try and score that second one. And it works quite often for them. But then they lost 4-0 at home to Cardiff. That's a bad result. 4-1 away defeat to Leeds. But there again, it's a derby. Anything can happen in derbies. And Leeds are not usually as good up front, but they obviously were that day. 0-0 against Watford. Was it going to be a stop for Watford's pull out of the relegation area? Who knows? Well, we do now. That was probably a good game for them. That was probably a good game. Shows how good their defence can be. They lost against Hull, but only 1-0. And I thought that was a good game as well. That was a good game. That's definitely a good result for them. And they only lost in a 90 plus 2 minute, 92nd minute they lost. So it's so it would have had a 0-0 on it. I actually think, shoot me for thinking this, but I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be either a 0-0 or a 1-1 draw. I think that Huddersfield will manage to keep Southampton at bay. Now, both I'm in for Leicester versus Watford, right? Okay, now Leicester versus Watford is really quite. I think we have to look at statistically as well, because quite often when you look at a team's results throughout the year, if you look at the number of goals they score, that team has an ability, and that ability to score can be averaged out through the whole year, and you usually trend it up and down over about 6 games. It just goes up and down, and players go out through injury, through suspension. Players become a little bit unfit and then sort of get taken away and train a bit more, and they come back fit. And as a rule, you don't get massive chunks of 5-0, 5-0, 5-0, 0, 1-0, 2-0. It tends to be quite random. So those big scoring events tend to happen suddenly when a team collapses, and you don't usually get 2 teams collapsing straight after each other. Plus, the chances of you actually scoring 5 in one game and scoring 5 in the next, or even scoring more than 3 in the next, is actually quite minimum. Because unless your team's constantly scoring 3, 4, 5, there's no reason statistically to show that many people actually score 5 against a team that collapsed like Rotherham did at Watford, and then suddenly have another team that goes there and collapses. And let's face it, they're playing Leicester. So Leicester aren't going to collapse, and we've seen Leicester go 2-0 down, and I think we've seen Leicester go. I can't remember now. I'm sure we've seen Leicester go 2-0 down and draw. Well, one of their draws, wasn't it? Well, it's not on here. I'm sure that they have in the past gone behind and then come back. They have against Rotherham, didn't they? They came back from, uh, yeah, came back to equalise with Rotherham. So they don't go behind and fall and give up. Leicester don't do it. So that idea is not going to happen. So the mere fact that they scored 5 against Rotherham means that there's an extremely good chance here that they're gonna they basically used up statistically their goals for 2 or 3 games. You wouldn't expect that sort of 6-match goal scoring average to sort of carry on an upward tilt. I mean, if it did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they'd have to score 2 or 3 goals against Leicester. No, I think Leicester will win it comfortably. I think if Watford think too much of that 5-0 drubbing they gave Rotherham, they're going to be thinking that, hey, we can actually score against teams like Leicester City, and there's a good chance we'll get something from it. But overconfidence against a team like Leicester is not a good thing. Either way I think about it, statistically, Leicester City, physically, style. Ooh. Style-wise, I would probably go Leicester City, but only just. So my head is saying, my statistical self is saying that Leicester will win 3 or 4-0. My gut feeling is that Leicester will win this one, but only just, and that Watford will be full of confidence after. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, how many games have they gone without being defeated? I've got 6 here, and they're all. It's a draw, win, win, draw, draw, win. So they've gone on a really good non-undefeated run, and I think that could be quite good for as they go into the Leicester game, because Leicester have actually lost their last 2 games. Then they won 4 before that and drew against Rotherham. So they may be getting there thinking they can do it. They're on a run. Leicester are on the opposite, starting an opposite run. But I don't think it's going to work like that, guys. So we have got down to Leicester, and I think Leicester will win that one. Millwall Coventry, I think, is a little bit easier. I think Millwall are desperately trying to get that home form at the Den that they used to have a few years ago. I think last year where they actually did better away from home than they did at home, and it's like that's ridiculous. The Den has always been an absolute stalwart to get. You can't get past it. You were going there thinking, I hope we can just put 10 men behind the ball and get a draw, because nobody comes away with a win. And now, they lost. They won away to Wednesday, but that was Wednesday 4-0. Southampton defeat at home. Blackburn defeat at home. Hull City draw at home. There's 3 games there at home and no win. But you have to think that Coventry are doing pretty dismally. Even when they score 2 against Preston away, they lose 3-2. They go to Rotherham thinking they're going to kill us and lose 2-0. I mean, 1-1 at home to Norwich, that was quite good, but I don't rate Norwich this year very much. I think I think that was probably a sort of even Stevens mid-table clash, and that's why it was 1-1. I'm going to put my hat on one side because it's sort of saying a draw, but I'm going to say Millwall. I'm going to think Millwall are going to break this run. Millwall will break it, get that home win that the fans really must be absolutely gagging for by now. Oh yeah, I wish we had a Millwall fan on. That'd be really fun. Then we go Norwich QPR, and I have to say I'm sort of stumped here because I'm looking at Norwich. I mean, Norwich won Cardiff 3-2 at Cardiff, but before that, it's been a draw and 4 defeats against Leeds, Borough, Sunderland, and Blackburn. All teams in the middle, middle top, and you'd expect them to get something from those games because that's where they see themselves, sort of top of the middle, bottom of the top sort of thing. And I think, and they've got the parachute payments as well. It's a difficult one, this guy, isn't it? They're both playing as bad as each other. Although QPR got a draw against Rotherham at Rotherham, which is pretty damn good. And they got a 0-0 against Bristol City, who can be up and down, although it was at home. But like I say, they bounce. They do well They do really brilliantly against a good team one weekend, and then do completely awful against a really bad team the next week. So Bristol City fans must be quaking every Saturday. Like which team's going to turn out today, the good one or the bad one? Know that feeling, guys. I went through this before, and I'm going to stick to what I thought before, and I think that's going to be a draw. I really think it's going to be a draw. I think that QPR are in that mood of, as long as we don't lose, and I think they're sending out teams now, especially away from home, that don't want to lose, but are capable of not losing. Whereas Rotherham, for the last 12 months, have been sending teams out not to lose away from home, but they can't do it. And putting 10 men behind the ball just means that we lose 1-0. Yeah. Oh, that was a really good game. We didn't get slaughtered like we thought we might. Yeah, great. But we still lost. And I can see that QPR are doing it a lot better than most. They set up a team not to lose. They've started to show that they can do it. So I'm going to say 0-0 or perhaps 1-1, but I think 0-0. Plymouth, Sunderland. Plymouth are at home. Now the last 3 games they've lost 2, drawn 1. But let's face it, guys. Let's face it. To lose away to Ipswich when they're where they are in the league, and only 3-2. So they managed to put up a damn good fight. Borough at home, draw 3-3. Like I say, they're scoring at home. Against the Borough side, they're up there. No, that's not a bad score at all. And Leeds, away at Leeds, that's a damn long journey. And to get that fatigue out of the legs before you go into a game, I mean, they'll have been there days before, but it's not easy to travel that distance and sort of hours and hours in a coach and trying to get those legs moving again afterwards is not easy for a side that's come up from League One. I mean, the Premiership and the Championship sides tend to be a bit more used to it and more capable of shaking off the fatigue. But I think overall they've done a really good job at home, and they are absolutely red hot at home. This is where I am gonna put my hat in the ring here, because normally you would say it's going to be a Sunderland win, because they've won at home against Birmingham, away 0-0 at Swansea. That was pretty poor. A poor Norwich team at home, they won 3-1. They only lost away at Leicester 1-0, but then they've lost away at Stoke 2-1, and they lost at home to Borough 4-0. It's like, just not. What are they doing? I just got a feeling they are going to turn up blasé and thinking they're going to win it. This is a League One team we're playing, guys. We should be putting 6 past them, and I think they'll come. I think Plymouth will come away with a 3-0 win. I really do. I honestly think that Plymouth will come away with a 3-0 win. Preston, Cardiff. Cardiff have been doing up and down, and you can't work out what the hell they're going to do. They're a typical mid-table team. Draw, lose, win. Win, draw, lose. You know, it could be anywhere, couldn't it? It could be anything, guys. It could be anything. I mean, the results are sort of all over the place, from a 4-0 win away at Huddersfield to a 3-2 win, a 3-2 loss at home to Norwich, and you're thinking, wow, 1-1s, 1-0s, 0-0s, 2-0s. No, you can't tell. You really can't tell. Preston, top of the league, brilliant team, doing really well, playing above their skill level, and the fans must have been absolutely amazed. And then they had a really shit period. I mean, certainly take the last 2 games out of it. It was lose, draw, draw, lose against Ipswich, Millwall, Southampton, and Hull. I mean, Ipswich and Southampton, perhaps, but that was a lose and a draw. But that's good against Southampton 2-2. And probably good away to Ipswich 4-2 at the time. Yeah, they lost, but they scored 2. And as far as I remember, they were actually, weren't they sort of? I think weren't they equal equalised twice, didn't they? I think something like that. But the last 2 games, 3-2 win at home to Coventry, and a 2-1 win away at Blackburn. They're probably teams I would put them to win against anyway. I'm going to put my hat in the ring. I'm going to go for a Cardiff. Cardiff bounced back from the 3-2 defeat at Norwich. They're all over the place, their scores. You'd never know what team's going to come out. I'm going to say that the team that comes out is going to be a damn good one, and they're going to walk that one. Maybe 2-0. I'm going to say 2-0. I think it might be 2-1, but it might be 2-0. Stoke City versus Blackburn. We're up to Stoke City versus Blackburn. I don't remember what I said, so if anybody comes on and says, "What did you say for this?" you're going to have to rewind, because I can't remember. Because I could always go back and do another review. But Stoke Blackburn, I think this is just one of those mid-table battles, isn't it? 22 points for Blackburn, 21 points for Stoke. Blackburn aren't into drawing. Stoke more so, but there's not much difference there. No particular bad runs. I mean, Blackburn are probably in a bad run, but there again, I think Stoke City are probably thinking they're in a bad run. 0-0 to Cardiff, 0-0 to Coventry, and you think, I mean, they should have won Cardiff at home, surely. 0-0. And you think, no, I at least Blackburn are scoring in the last two games. But they won Leeds 1-0 at home, and you think, yeah, so Stoke can do it. I'm going to go Blackburn. I think Blackburn will sneak that one, merely because I think Stoke City have lost that scoring power, and they just don't seem to be firing at the minute. Unless a Stoke fan comes on and says, yeah, but we didn't have such and such in the team, and now we've got him back. Swansea Hull is another one of those where, any team can come out, and it's just a mishmash of, God, that was a good result. Oh, that was shit. Oh, that was good. Oh, that was average. And it's all the way through. Both teams are bang average, and both teams are actually, they're not that far apart. They are. They're about the 6, 7 points. 7 points apart. But Swansea are lower down, but Swansea are actually showing. I mean, they've shown some good signs. They lost 3-2 away to Ipswich, but Ipswich have been pretty good, pretty skillful, just not up front. Only that day they managed to win. Ipswich won 3-2, but at least they scored 2, which is, that's probably Ipswich's downside is that their defence isn't that good. 0-0 at home to Sunderland, yeah, possible. They can be up and down. Blackburn are poor. They won them 1-0 away. I just don't see any real blips. I mean, they lost 3-1 at home to Leicester, but they scored, and Leicester are pretty unstoppable at the minute. At that point they were. Now, they won at Plymouth. Swansea won at Plymouth 3-1, and Plymouth are really good at home. That, to me, was a bloody good result. So you see, there's bits of both teams that are doing well, and then bits of both teams that are doing garbage. I think Hull City against Huddersfield, 1-0 at home win the last time out. They'd probably be thinking, shit, we should have really hammered them. But they didn't. And I was looking at that result for ages. 90 plus 2 minute winner. I think they're both doing as bad as each other, and it could be a draw. It could be a 0-0 draw. Yeah. Hull did win that last one in the 90 plus second minute. I'll go for a draw. I might even go for a bore draw. And last of all, West Brom versus Ipswich. For those who've stayed with me nearly 50 minutes, let's make this a good one. Ipswich have, I think, been found out. Back in October, Bristol City away win 1-0, really good. At home 3-2 against Plymouth, which obviously a recall of the League One games. So that was a good game because Plymouth neither team have actually made a great deal of changes since League One. So that was actually almost the same team from last year. And you would have guaranteed Plymouth winning it. But 3-2. Forget the cup game. 2-2 away at Birmingham. Now we start seeing the flaws coming into Ipswich's game, don't we? 2-2 draw at Birmingham, and then a 2-2 draw at Rotherham. They scored in the 87th minute, so I think, they'll be thinking things aren't quite going as well. The fan base is amazing away from home. Some of the videos of Rotherham Ipswich, and look at the Ipswich fans, absolutely phenomenal support, brilliant support. Well done, guys. And then you've got your Swansea game. What can we say? George scored. I mean, the only way he's going to score is through a penalty, isn't it? He's not going to score through open play, I don't think. Again, they scored two quite quickly together, and I think that's the key here. You know, those teams that can score two together really quickly, like Huddersfield and Ipswich did there. If you can do that, then you really put the opposition on the back foot. So they went from 1-0 down to 2-1 up in minutes. But Swansea City are a decent side. They're good for scoring, which is why they scored two. But yeah, Ipswich scored 3-2 at home. Yeah. I think it shows that the defence is not looking very solid at the minute. The last three games, their defence has let in 2 goals. And 4. Yeah, last 4. In fact, it's his last 5 games if you count the Fulham game. They've let in 2 goals each time, 3 against Fulham. So their defence is now showing the same signs it did in League One. They were bloody good scorers, top scorers, but they were also extremely bad in defence. That is showing through now, and I fear that Sheffield. I fear that Ipswich are going to start to just show the signs of wear at the back. They need to get more. I don't know if they've got injuries at the back. Most teams have. I think they're going to be a little bit hit by confidence and skill level at the back for a little bit longer. I think they'll get over it this time, but I don't think it's going to be yet. Whereas West Bromwich Albion, they drew Yeah, they drew against Plymouth at home 0-0. Well, probably about right. Birmingham lose 3-1 away. Then they got 3 wins: QPR, Coventry, and Hull. Yeah, 2-0 against QPR. I would have expected more, but 3-1 win against Hull at home, which is very good actually, because they're usually quite tight at the back. They play up to do a good defence away from home, Hull, I think. And Southampton, you can score against away from home, 2-1 defeat, probably about right. I think that overall, I would go for West Brom. I'm going to go for a West Brom win. I think 2-1. I'm biting my lip over 1. I'm not sure whether it'll be a 1. I think I'm going to go 2-1. I hate going for the 2-1 score because that's the most obvious of the scores, isn't it? So that's the final game. I mean, based on that, we've got the top's not really going to change too much. It can't really, can it? Leicester City will be 3 points clear at the top, I think. But I think Ipswich will still be second. The main, I mean, you've got West Brom I think West Brom may take out Sunderland. I don't know. Yeah, West Brom may take out Sunderland. They're only 1 goal difference behind them and on the same score. At the bottom would be interesting because I think if Rotherham do lose against Leeds, which is highly likely, really, realistically, They won't have a new manager in by then. You'd be talking QPR on 11 points. They will go from 23rd into 22nd. So Rotherham will go down into 23rd position on the same score on 11 points. Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, Birmingham, isn't it? That's the one that I'm sort of, I'm thinking a draw, but Wednesday could win it. Wednesday really could win it, and if they won it, they're going to be in 9 points with Rotherham above them on 11, and QPR above them on 11. And who do you say for Huddersfield? Southampton. You see, I've said that's going to be a draw. But I think I'll probably stick with a draw. But Huddersfield could actually win it. And the problem with that is if they did, see if Huddersfield actually won that game, so my phone went somewhere else then. They'd be, on 18 points, so they're out of the game. Plymouth are probably going to win. They'll be out of the game. Coventry are the only team that's going to be sort of hanging around, and they'll be on 16. So you'd have Coventry on 16. You'd have below them Coventry on 16 points on 21st. You'd have QPR on 11 in 22nd, Rotherham on 11 in 23rd. And who knows? You could have Sheffield Wednesday on 9 in 24th. Now that's okay. There's a between them and safety, Huddersfield. Sorry, Coventry. You'd be talking 7 points. Yeah, 7 points. So you're thinking, could they get 7? It's 7 points behind with 17 games gone. We're over a third away now. So third of the way gone, 7 points behind. Not showing any signs of improvement. Trying to wait till January so they can try and move a few players around. But Chansiri said he's not going to buy anyone. Doomed. They'll probably get a double against Rotherham, but hey, that's still doomed. I think it just makes it strange. Like if they did win, you got 9, 11, 16. Hell, there's a 5-point gap. A third of the way in, there's a 5-point gap between the bottom 3 and 21st. Just ridiculous. And if Coventry did get something from the next game, if they got a win, hell, you'd be talking 8-point gap. Now, if you've got I'm sorry, but if you've got an 8-point gap a third of the way in, changing your manager is not going to make no fucking difference. And this is what some of the Rotherham fans have said. We've changed his manager, but we're that far behind now that you have to have got the manager in for the Leeds game. Because if we just play this, if we play crap again, then what we're going to end up with is a team, especially if Huddersfield win. Yeah, hell, you're talking an 8-point gap between 23rd and 21st. 22nd and 21st. And 23rd and 22nd being on probably the same points. And 8-point gap is just massive. That team, and it may only be one team on 19 points. 19 points, which is Swansea. And you think, Swansea? Jesus. We only have to both lose the next game, which is highly likely. We don't play each other on that one, do we? No. And all of a sudden, forget it. They win it. We're 10, 11, 12 points from safety. And I think when it gets to that level, or if it got to that level, teams in the bottom three, I won't say the phrase, teams in the bottom three will be stuffed. If the three at the bottom are 12 points adrift in 2 games' time, absolutely not a hope in hell. You got to think, 12 points behind. 11 points behind, isn't it? Because it'd be 8 and then 11. So, okay, 11 points behind. You're quite 3, 6, 9, 12. We've got to win 4 games in a row. Whoever wants to get out is going to win 4 games in a row. Got to. In order to get above them. And they've got to lose 4. Now, you're talking teams like Stoke. Like Stoke and Swansea and Bristol City. They're not going to lose 4 games. You might lose 2. Hell yeah, you can lose 2. You might lose 2 and draw 1, but you're not going to lose all 4. Which then means that they've not got to win 4. They've got to win 6 or 7 in a row. So they've got to go from winning 2 in the season so far to winning 7 in a row. Yeah. No. Don't even think about it. You haven't got a chance. So I think it's critical now, and probably why Rotherham sacked their manager is purely because the gap is getting so big that if you want to stay in it, you have to try and make that very thing happen. You have to try and think that you can win 3, 4 on a trot, and hopefully close the gap. Because I don't honestly believe if any of those teams down there, whichever one you talk about, Wednesday, Rotherham, QPR, if they either of those won 3 games in a row, sorry guys, if Huddersfield win on Saturday, I really cannot see anyone catching the next team up. I just can't see them catching. Especially if Coventry win one of the next 2 games. If Coventry win one of their next 2 games, Huddersfield win one of their next 2 games. If the teams below win 3, I really can't see. No, I can't see them catching them, and I think that's why they've done it now, so that there's a small chance. But like I say, in 2 games, that gap could be 11 points. God forbid, if the wrong teams for the bottom 3 win again 3 games ahead, that 11 is now 14. So 3 games time, 14 points, 14 points behind. I mean, you're coming up to halfway around New Year, and or just before. And even if you've managed to keep up with the team in 21st and 20th, you're going to go into the second half of the season 14 points behind. I mean, that's 3, 6, 9, 10, and 12, 5 wins that you've got to pull back on them. 5 wins in 23 games. Are they going to lose 5 in 23? I mean, that's the other thing. Are they going to lose 5? They might. I mean, guess probably lose maximum 6, which means the teams at the bottom have basically got to win. They've got to not lose any games in the second half of the season. When actually in the first half they were lucky to win one. So no, it's getting very, very difficult now. It's getting critical, and I think that now's the time. Huddersfield fans will be thinking, "This is it." If they win on Saturday, they can get out of this relegation scrap, even if they're 21st. The gap can be made so big that they're effectively safe quite early, and that the bottom 3 will be down by before Easter. Do I think that's what will happen? Sadly, yes. I think it would have been nice to have had a bit of a fight near the bottom, and obviously I support Rotherham, so I want it to be no. But I just think that a bottom 3 will be the bottom 3 by Easter, and by Easter they'll all be down. I hope not. I hope there's a bit of a fight, and we can get some decent games down there, because it's nice to see all fans want a good game. They want they want their team to turn up and play good football, and I think that's what's missing. If you don't get if you don't get that bottom 3 fighting, then that's unfortunately it's going to be a bit boring. And the only thing that we're going to be watching is the top two teams. The rest of them are all pretty even. And you'll just see, the odd team doing well for a few games and badly for a few games. It'll be pretty, you know, boring stuff in the middle. The only good teams you're going to get are the top 2 at any one time. Will probably be the 2 that are playing well at that point in time. Probably include Leicester. And even they'll have a bad run like they are at the minute. So I think it's going to be an interesting weekend. It's I think 2 games time we'll be certainly looking at this and thinking, well, did that work out? Are the bottom 3 stranded? Let me know in the comments what you think. Will it be the bottom 3 stranded in 3 games time? Will it be the bottom 3 stranded in 2 games time? I would be very interested to know. Thank you very much, and I wish you luck.